Well, happy holidays, everyone. This is a very special local business spotlight tour. We're in the month of December, and I'm standing here with everybody's favorite reindeer, Rudolph. We're going to go inside in a few minutes and see Santa's other home for the month of December, where he often comes on the weekends. So all the young children, the boys and girls, can come and see Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus and see the elves hard at work. Today he's not here because he's in the North Pole, continuing making all of the toys that everybody will be able to receive on Christmas morning. But I wanted to show you some of the reindeers who are resting here because it's a little warmer here in Connecticut than it is in the North Pole. So right behind me is Rudolph. You can see his nice horns, and over here we're going to see some of the other reindeers. And let's go inside and meet some of the folks behind the scenes at Santa's Village. This is Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus's North American house, which means it's where they live in the United States of America during the month of December, just before Christmas. And let's check out the name on this mailbox. When you put a letter out to Santa, it comes right here to Santa Claus's mailbox. So let's go inside and see where Mrs. Claus sits, where Santa Claus sits, and where all the elves make the toys. Here we are in the lobby of the Christmas Village, which is run by the City of Torrington and the Parks and Recreation Department. And let's go meet a few of the individuals who actually make this miracle happen every single year. So with me today is Patty, Mark, and Brett, and they are from the City of Torrington, helping out in the Parks and Rec Department on the commission with Christmas Village that comes every single December when Santa Claus comes and spends the weekend. So all the kids can come and sit on Santa's lap, tell them what they want. Mrs. Claus is here to make sure her husband's nice and fed well with the cookies, right? And then we're going to take a look into Santa's workshop. So how did Christmas Village start here in the City of Torrington?
It started in 1947. It was the vision of the then program director of the Parks and Rec Department, who was Carl Basinski. And he had this idea to create a spot where kids could visit with Santa that was non-commercial. And that's something that the village has maintained to the present day. It's that non-commercial focus. And a couple of early Park and Rec's employees, Paul Friedman and Andy Yannick, did the work in setting up the toy shop and Santa's room at the village, and they look today much as they did back in 1947.
What was this property before Santa's Village or Christmas Village was erected?
Well, it was a playground. It was the Albert Park Playground, and it's amazing that it's just so well suited to being Christmas Village, Santa's home away from the North Pole.
That's why I was sharing with the young people that will be watching the program that in December, Santa Claus takes a break from the North Pole and comes here, so everybody has a chance. And they got a chance to see the mailbox out front, which had Santa Claus's name on it. And when they put their letters in the mailbox, it comes right here to Torrington.
Yep. That mailbox has been there since 1948. It was placed there by the then postmaster in Torrington, Frank Bonacore.
And how long does it take to get the Christmas Village, Santa's Village, ready for?
Yeah, obviously we're thinking about Christmas Village year-round, and ways that we can do improvements, to our buildings and decorations and things. But really, it starts with our planning in August, September. Start placing orders, and then gradually the parks employees start coming up here in September, October, and then full swing November. The month of November is just all boots on the ground, getting all the lights fine-tuned and all the decorations, getting the rooms ready to go, and be ready to go for our opening in December.
It's just like Santa Claus, who works year-round, but you only see him one day. That your staff works round the calendar in preparation for the month of December. That's fantastic. How many volunteers do you have that actually come here on the days when Santa's around?
Yeah, we probably have, I would say, around 100 volunteers and probably over 1,000 volunteer hours while we're open here. And
wow.
And then there's the people that sponsor and donate year in and year out. We usually take in about $18,000 to $20,000 in donations. Last year we hit a peak of $22,000, which helps defray the costs for operating Christmas Village.
And is there a charge for people that want to bring their children here to see Santa?
We do accept donations. We have donation boxes, throughout Christmas Village, and that usually accounts for, I would say, close to or a third of our donations. The rest come through our toy shower and WZBG, which does a pledge-a-thon the Friday before we open.
And can people donate online if they wanted to donate online?
Yes, we do have online through our MyRec, TorringtonMyRec.com, and you can donate there. And any amount is appreciated and helps with the operations here at Christmas Village.
That's fantastic. Well, why don't you show us Mrs. Claus's room?
Absolutely. Come on in.
And here we are in Mrs. Claus's room. And Patty, if you could just tell us, how many visitors do you see coming every year or all told to visit Christmas Village?
Well, I think between 15,000 and 20,000 visitors every year we get to come here. And Mark just did some math. Mark, how much did you figure that total?
I wouldn't be surprised if 1.5 million people have been through here since its inception in 1947.
Wow, 1.5 million people that have come to Torrington to visit
It's a great attraction.
Christmas Village. That's fantastic. So, Brett, why don't you tell us a little bit about Mrs. Claus's room?
Yeah, well, this actually used to be the original toy shop, which you see these wood beams that are around here. Some of the early Parks employees actually took these from, some from Alvord Park and planed them and made them into, shelves for us to use as, places to display decorations. The room is a little bit small, and we'll go to the toy shop, the current toy shop later, where you'll see it's definitely expanded and allowed us more opportunity to have more room and more decorations. But
Because the boys and girls have been so good that
yes,
we need to, the elves need more
absolutely.
working room, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, but this at one time was the original elves room. The elves would line up along the wall, and massive toys and trains, and it was a room of awe for most children to come in here and see that. But like you said, times have changed, toys get bigger, and the elves are busier, so we had to give them a new place.
All right, so I want to go down the line. Each of you point out what's your favorite part of this room.
For me, I love the beams, because it represents the history of the village, and the gentleman who actually went out, cut the trees, and sawed the wood and put them here. It was a labor of love for those guys. So I think the beams and the trim work are special for me.
Well, obviously the candy canes. We have candy canes here. Every child that comes through, Mrs. Claus, has to hear a little story from them and talk about their visit with Santa, and then they get a candy cane on their way out the door as they head to the toy shop.
Fantastic.
Well, I agree with Patty. I like the wood beams because they're one of the original features of the room. But I'm also intrigued by Mrs. Claus's little setup over here where she works hard sewing up her clothing and costumes for Christmas every year.
Well, I tell you, when you go to a mall to see Santa Claus, you never see Mrs. Claus. And I don't know of really any other place around that has both Mr. and Mrs. Claus, because he couldn't do the work all by himself without the help of Mrs. Claus and the elves. I think she keeps him on target and actually makes sure that his clothing is darned well, so no
She
wind when
keeps
he's
him looking good.
flying in his sleigh, right? Gets him. She has a very beautiful Christmas tree too.
And she also reads some of the letters that Santa receives, and those are here on display.
Fantastic. Well, let's go take a look at where the elves work. This is probably one of my favorite places of Christmas Village because it's where the toys are. I mean, who doesn't like toys? And I remember one of my favorite toys growing up, Tickle Me Elmo, made right here at Santa's workshop with all the elves. And if you look at that picture above the fireplace, those are the actual elves making the toys. And this room is a little different than the other rooms here at Christmas Village because this looks like a log cabin to me. Can we talk about what it took to make where the elves workshop when we moved from there to here?
We had a special committee of volunteers. It was a wonderful group that worked together to form this beautiful space for the elves. It was, again, another labor of love for Christmas Village.
And when Christmas Village is open, what are the hours that parents can take their children or grandparents or aunts and uncles to come and see Santa and Mrs. Claus and the elves?
We're open 1 to 8:30 all the way through the 23rd of December, and then on the 24th, Christmas Eve, we're open 9 in the morning till noon.
Because we have to close at noon on Christmas Eve because we know what happens on Christmas Eve, right?
Yes.
Santa's got to go.
Yeah, Santa's got to go. He's
gotta
going to
go.
travel the whole world to make
That's
sure he
right.
visits all the good boys and girls.
That's true.
What is your favorite toy in all of Santa's workshop?
I like this
Patty.
little monkey, and if we could get him to work, it would be good. But he claps along, and some of the toys here are original from day one, and we try to keep them working. This one is probably a recreation of one that we had. The train that goes around and goes around the top. It's truly amazing. The children that come here just are in awe when they see the train going around. So.
Sure.
Yeah, it's special.
So when Paul Friedman set up the toy shop initially, he had all these things that moved. He had birds that moved and a monkey, like similar to this one, that moved, and the kids loved all that action. And the toy shop today still has those moving toys, and it's just a delight to children. Now we've got like Santa coming in on a parachute, which is a bit of a newer take on it, but it still is a delight to see.
When the kids walk in here, their eyes just light up with all the toys and the lights and everything. And obviously, Skippy, Tippy, and Elmer here hard at work. It's just such a, you just see them, just their eyes wide open and excited to see this.
And you get to see it really has so many different toys in here that if a young boy or girl doesn't know what they want for Christmas, this certainly can give them some ideas and what Santa Claus can actually make from movable toys like the monkey that claps. I see Aladdin's lamp back there with a genie in it. I'm looking at all the Disney toys. There's a replica of Santa on a skateboard up on the top, bicycles, birds. Everything is manufactured here in the Elf's workshop. So now we're going to go see, I think, the big guy's room.
Good, can't wait.
Yes, let's go see Santa. Well, while Santa Claus is currently up at the North Pole, we wanted to take a sneak peek inside his room here at Christmas Village. And if you look behind me over here on the right, this is Santa's chair. And believe it or not, boys and girls, there is a list for both good and naughty boys and girls. So I want to see this book right here, the bad boys and girls, empty next year. I want to make sure everybody is in that good boys and girls book that Santa always checks twice, so you always have until December 24th to be a good boy and good girl. But let's talk about how Christmas Village opens, and there's only a certain time of the year, and Mark's going to tell us how Christmas Village started many years ago with Santa Claus coming here to Torrington.
Well, the first few years that Santa came here from the North Pole, he decided to use a more modern form of transportation rather than his sleigh and reindeer, so he came by helicopter. And he landed in Fusage Park, and he was greeted there by thousands of Torrington residents. And they had a big parade that brought him from Fusage Park up Main Street to Christmas Village. And he rode in a fire truck, I believe, in those early days. And today he rides in a carriage, I believe, carriage or sleigh, right?
So, Brett, tell us about, this past year, Santa Claus, the parade was this past Sunday, or 2 Sundays ago, I think it was.
December 8th, yes, and we had 25 different groups marching in the parade, nearly 1,000 parade participants, and from all the elementary schools and Oliver Wolcott, just a number of different groups, and it's grown every year. And people look forward to it. They call us, looking to see when the parade's going to be scheduled each year. And it's pretty neat watching a parade come up from the Armory up here to Christmas Village. People lined along Main Street, South Main Street in front of Coe Memorial Park, all the way up Mason Street. It's just, amazing. And then when you come here, the swarms of people that are waiting out here in line, 8 o'clock that morning, and we have our opening ceremony here at Christmas Village. It really kicked things off, and you just to look out there in the crowd and see everybody, it just shows you how special this place is for the city of Torrington.
And there's plenty of parking, no cost for parking on parade day, and the parade's about 40 minutes in duration, I'd say. So plenty of opportunity if you want to take your kids next year to come out and see the parade and then wait in line to see Mrs. Claus and Santa Claus, and all the elves will be here. It's really a fantastic time. So let's talk about this room in particular.
Yeah, this room, obviously, we have the throne and we have our toys for the boys and toys for the girls. Just a wide array of toys for, Santa to sit, the kids to sit with Santa and, kind of talk about what they would like for Christmas. And every child that comes in here leaves with a toy. It's just such a great feeling for the kids and the parents. Great photo opportunities. This room obviously has a lot of color with the lights and the tinsel and the tree, it's just a great room and great display. And again, another room where the kids just walk in and are just mesmerized with what they see here.
So, Patty, what's your favorite part of this?
Okay, the bubbles aren't going right now, but there are bubbles that when people come in, there are bubbles that fill the room. And since I was a kid and I was impressed by that, it impresses everyone today when those bubbles are flying. This is a magical room. You come and your adults become children again when you come in to this room. This is what makes this place special to Torrington. It's a tradition that young and old, you can be a kid again, and that's what makes this place so special to everyone.
So let's keep the Christmas magic and the Christmas spirit going. If you can donate online, go to myrec.com. But please make sure to come up, say hello to Mrs. Claus, Santa Claus, see the elves at work. Go visit the reindeer because they're only going to be here till Christmas Eve, till 12 o'clock, and then they've got to get to work. So that's all for this edition of the Local Business Spotlight Tour. We'll see you next month in New Hartford at Ski Sundown.